This is the hardcore icon, Justin Credible, and you're listening to the 3 Count Podcast. Now, that's not just the coolest, and that's not just the best, the 3 Count Podcast. Well, that, my friends, is Justin Credible.
Weighing in at an unbelievable weight that you might hate, but you can't even
During high pass, we trying to drag ball it.
Now entering the ring, married
Welcome
to
everybody
business.
to another great edition of the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, and I am your Sherpa, the man who leads you up this mountain called wrestling. Why? Because I'm a beginner, and this is what we do. We got to learn from people. So it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. And the person that's entering today, you can find them at New Texas Pro, Pale Pro, MPX, WWN, BCW, CWE, AAW, Glory Pro, HMW, ROH, facing one cheeseburger. We have him from VIP, NWA, Top of Texas. He is a former tag team champion for NWA, Top of Texas. He is a former Texas champion at Top of Texas. He is a former heavyweight champion at NWA, Top of Texas. He is the prodigy, Jastin Taylor.
That's right. That's right. And now also known as the Living Proof. In the house right now for 3 Count. It's great to be here, man. How you doing?
Oh man, thank you for coming on the show, man. I appreciate this so much.
Yeah, man. I'm very excited about this, man, especially considering the who's list of guests you've had on before. It's nice to be in good company, man. So I'm glad to be one of your guests for 3 Count.
Hey, so man, we start this off every single time and we ask the same question, but it's always a great answer. Who is Jastin Taylor?
Man, Jastin Taylor, man. Jastin is the belt collector. Jastin is the personification of motivation. Jastin is the living proof. And I know people sometimes go, well, what does that mean, man? Living proof of what? You can't just call yourself that. What exactly does it mean? Well, for me, man, it's more than a moniker. It's more than just a catchy name. It's words that I live by, man. And I call myself the personification of motivation for a reason, because I only live to motivate others to get out there, get the work done, live your best life so that one day you can look at somebody and say, hey, man, that thing you're trying to do, you can do it. And you know why I know? Because I'm living proof. Everybody is trying to be living proof of something, man. Make sure you're living proof that life is what you make it, and make it a good one.
God, whew, that's awesome, man. I feel like I'm getting hit with the Church of Wrestling right now. That is amazing. That's what you're supposed to do, though. Like you inspire others to do great things. That's what you're meant to do. That's what life is all about.
Exactly, man. Exactly. And if I'm going to be wrestling, if I'm going to be entertaining, man, if kids are going to be looking at me, if adults are going to be talking to me, man, I want to teach people to be better. There's enough going on in the world that can make a person worse. So why not be on the other side of that argument? That's my motto.
I like that. I like that a lot, man. So I'm very curious, man. How did you get into the sport?
Man, well, pretty much a cliche story, my man. I've been a fan of wrestling for as long as I can remember. Of course, I grew up in the era of Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior, all of those good guys. So yeah, man, ever since I was a kid, man, I was fascinated by it. But living in a small town of Midland, Texas, we didn't quite have wrestling training over that way. So it was always just a distant dream, man, just something that I never thought that I would have the chance of be able to do. And as you alluded to with NWA Top of Texas, NWA Southwest, PWF used to be its former name. I was attending a show one day in Amarillo, and the promoter walked up and said, hey, man, have you ever thought about being a wrestler, man? You kind of have a good look for it. And I was like, no, man, that was never anything I envisioned myself doing, but it's always something I've been curious about it. He was like, well, man, why don't you come back next weekend, man, and we'll see what you got. And the rest is history, man. Now here we are 12 years in, and I got my own flags like this one in the background, and I've been bumping around for 12 years ever since, man.
That's awesome, though, man. That's awesome. That's super fly. And you mentioned a great place. I've talked about it with a couple other people on the show. Amarillo. I actually used to live in Lubbock back in the day. My dad was former military, so we used to live in shallow water, and then we actually moved over into Lubbock, where I was going to Reese Air Force Base. So like I'm all too familiar with what it's like to be in the panhandle of Texas. So I tell you what, man, I miss the spots.
Man, yeah, and I'm not somebody who is from there, but still, man, every time I go, I've made some great friends there. I made some friends actually called brothers there, man, and yeah, man. As far as just it really was a family atmosphere back there, man. And those guys, I owe a bunch to them. And it wasn't just one person, you know, it was that whole locker room that came together, taught me how to bump, you know, taught me the rounds, how to learn my positioning in the ring and everything like that. But I tell people, man, I'm a bit of a mutt when it comes to pro wrestling, man. I'm like that Ryu or Goku, man, just been traveling everywhere, man, just all over the country, just trying to get something from anyone that I can. So yeah, man. And all that mixed together kind of makes what the living proof is today, man.
That's lit, though. So I'm very curious, man. We all have them, so we all need to know, what has been the worst bump you've taken?
Man, the worst bump I've taken? Whew. Man, let me go down the laundry list here. I want to say there was a street fight that I was having with a guy by the name of Eric Grayson, and we climbed to the top rope and we threw each other off of the top rope into a table, man. And that was that was pretty heavy stuff, man. That was a big fall. But it wasn't one of those good falls. You know how normally, you know, if you can fall on your back most of the time, it's considered a blessing. Well, that's not where I fell. It was like hip first. It was sideways. So, man, I wouldn't recommend that kind of bump in the ring. Definitely not recommended, man. But yeah, I took it, man. And it was a last man standing kind of street fight. And your boy answered the 10 count and kept his title. But boy, I felt it that next day.
Oh no.
Man, yeah, that was rough, man. That was rough.
I listened to a bunch of my friends, and like as we've done like more and more of these, I've like hearing more and more stories. And so whenever we go and like plan a match, I always make sure to be like, I'm not feeling that today, man. Like I've heard people talk that story, and it never ends well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. That one was yeah, and it was, and another one. I'll just give you, this one's a bonus. It wasn't a bump, but it was a chair shot. So a guy, he's an up and coming guy, a guy by the name of Badass Billy Gunn. You heard of him?
Yeah, I think his name sounds familiar a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. He might have been in this thing, DX or something. I don't know, DY, DZ, who knows?
Yeah.
The guy, but the guy's, he looks good, man. I think he's gonna go far. No, I'm kidding. Everybody knows who Billy Gunn is, right? Well, I had a one-on-one match with him, man, and that was a very special match for me. One of the more memorable matches I've had, and I got to do it in my hometown here in Midland and Odessa. But what wasn't pleasant was at the end of that, he gave me a chair shot. And Billy Gunn is a tall man. Billy Gunn goes, 6'5", 6'6", about 240, 250. And so just imagine Billy Gunn with a chair, bringing it all the way up to here and then bringing it down on your back. Yeah, whatever nightmare you're probably feeling at that moment. Yeah, I felt that and then some. So yeah, there's a bonus for you. That didn't feel too great either. But Billy Gunn, I still love you, man, but not as much as I did when I was a kid, though, because that kind of hurt me.
Oh, that sounds like it sucks. And the thing too is like he talks about it all the time. He's like, yeah, I'll work you. He's like, and then I'll put you through everything. And then he always has like that something special. I've heard stories where like he like will not really stop him at. He'll just let somebody know like, hey, we're going to the finish. And then afterwards, like he just leaves and he's just like, hey, not again. So it's like consider
Yeah.
his chair shot like a blessing. Like he's like, I like him.
Yeah. And then afterwards, man, he was so cool. You know, he was like, yeah, man, I enjoyed it, everything like that. And, you know, we had some words in the back and gave me a hug afterwards, after the show when he left and everything. And after that, he put over the promotion real big. And the promotion, the name of the promotion is Old School Wrestling. Still a promotion that's ran here in Midland, Odessa. That's actually one of my 3 championships I actually hold for Old School Wrestling. But yeah, man, at that time, that promotion was getting its feet wet. That was a big show. It was Billy Gunn and Mickey James, both on the card. So big card. And I was fortunate enough to be able to wrestle him. And afterwards, he really put over Old School Wrestling. And that really kind of shot us up to the stratosphere. And more superstars came in after that. So we are indebted to him, man, and the performance that he gave us. So hell yeah, man. Billy Gunn's a good dude.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've heard nothing but great stories about him. And even I had a friend of mine who actually just was at AEW recently, Big Trouble Ben Bishop. And he was telling me about how, you know, like in the back, like Billy was talking to him, gave him some pointers and stuff like that. So yeah, I always hear nothing but great things about him and like all the advice that he gives. So, and then the big thing here is like, if he comes to you and says, well, it didn't suck, then that means he liked it.
Yep, that is the rule. That is the rule. Glad to hear that is still the golden rule with him.
So I'm very curious, man. We just talked about, you know, your worst bump, and then you obviously talked about the chair shot. So I'm very curious though, in all the matches that you've had, who's hit you the hardest?
Man, is it that one? It could. That might be it. I may have given that one away. As far as just like a hit, like with a weapon, that Billy Gunn, that's definitely number one there. Now, as far as just a physical hit, just somebody who just really cleaned my clock, and I was like, oh man, you better not do that again. Otherwise, we might. Man, there's been a couple, man. I've had a couple like that. Just every now and then, you know what I mean? We're throwing blows and one gets you good and you're like, oh man, that I'm gonna feel that one tomorrow. So yeah, you know, but it happens, man. You know, we're tough, or at least we claim to be, right? So you know, you gotta have a little toughness in this business, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, I've been hit plenty of times and didn't like it. But yeah, that Billy Gunn one is probably, honestly, that's the one. I don't know if I can put one over that.
That's pretty good. Actually, so I was in practice. The person that's gonna watch this is gonna know what I'm talking about. So I was in practice and I was working a practice match, and you know, my buddy was like, hey, you know, I kind of been out of the ring for a little bit. I want to get back into it and you know, get to feeling it, right? Get to feeling, see if it feels natural again. And yeah, so the first thing he told me, he was like, hey, well, we're going to, you know, we'll do this. I'll hit you with a forearm and I'm going to hit you. I'm going to hit you and I'm going to hit you with a forearm and put you in the ropes. I was like, all right, bet. And I know I've watched him wrestle. And so I know like where everything's coming. But ring rust is a real thing. I don't know if people realize. Yep. Because I got punched in the mouth and I was like, oh, I was like, what the hell? And then the forearm was actually really good. But then all I kept hearing like during like the walk and talk was, bro, are you sure you're okay? Like, I really hit you in the mouth. I was like, I'm fine. If you keep talking about it, I will hit you back. I was like, let's just finish this up and go.
Yeah, hell yeah! Like, man, that is such a true statement. That ought to be. If there was a wrestling Bible, that would definitely be in there. There is definitely a such thing as ring rust, especially. Oh my gosh, I should have said, shoot, hell, one of my worst bumps was taking that break from COVID and then that big long break from COVID and then getting back in a ring and taking that bump for the first time, that one didn't feel too great. And yeah, your body, man, after you haven't done it for a while, coming off those ropes and bumping in that ring after a break is almost the worst thing you can do.
Yeah. I remember like getting back in, and I had two pauses, right? Like in my short time. So COVID obviously being the first one, and I took my bump, and I was like, I really, but it's after I got injured and I came back, I'd been out for like 8 weeks, and all my everybody who was training with me, they all knew, like, I was like, I want to do this bump, just a back bump. And I was like, I want to hit this bump, but I was like, I'm so scared. And that doubt that seeps in, because you're like,
yep,
it sucks, and you as soon as you do it, you're gonna be like, all right, I feel better. But yeah, I was like, it's that initial suck that you have to bite your lip and just go, all right, remember, breathe, and just go. Don't think about it.
Yep, that's so true. A lot of it is mental, but yeah, man. I can only imagine how that must have been, because yeah, it's nerve-wracking. You're just like, man, I got to make sure I can do this again. But you don't just want to bump. You want to bump effectively, with authority, like we're supposed to.
Right.
There's a supposed to do it. So you want to hit all the P's and Q's, but that means pain. So yeah, definitely something you got to mentally prepare for as well.
Yeah, all my friends now that when we go to training and stuff, they all find it crazy, because like I flop like a rag doll. I get thrown everywhere. And I've been working on a chokeslam bump, because obviously like that's gonna be something that you got to work on. And so taking dojo bump, like I'm the only one in the ring. Everybody would do all their bumps, and then everybody's like, all right, let's go take a break. And then you just see me randomly just like run to the center and just jump straight up and just back down. And we're not talking like, oh, he got like 6 inches up there. No, we're talking like it's a good 4 foot fall. Like, I legit just throw it. I'm like, if we're gonna go for real, we're gonna act like this is real. We're gonna go. And the difference from falling from 6 feet to 4 feet, there's no real difference. It all sucks. It all hurts.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like you can rank it. Well, this one feels good, and this one, none of it good. But you're so right, though, man. You got to practice like it's a game. They say that in sports, and it is very true in wrestling. You got to practice, man, and especially with intensity. And I'm sure you know that better than anybody. But that's what I try to bring to practice. You bring that intensity, and you want to feel it, man. You want to feel it, because when you get out there, man, you can simulate that with the best of them. So yeah, man, you keep on, man. That's what it's all about.
So I'm very curious, man. Like, we've already just talked about like the worst bumps, we're talking about the hardest hits, but I'm very curious, and this is something like I know a lot of other people want to know. What's been the hardest lesson that you've had to learn in the sport?
Man, well, it's funny because really physically, I can say that a lot of those things have come easy for me. Physically, I've always been, I was a martial arts student growing up, did a little gymnastics growing up, always kind of played a little basketball. So I always kind of had, I guess, a little bit of an athletic background and everything like that. So physically, a lot of that stuff came easy for me. Honestly, man, the most difficult thing about wrestling for me was the performance side of it. Coming up with and understanding what a persona is, how to connect with an audience with that persona, something that and trying to do something that will stand out, but something that's meaningful to you, and something that comes across and can connect with people, but can connect with them quickly. Because you want to come out and you want to immediately establish that. Man, there are so many nuances to that, and there are so many delicacies with that. And I think that really is the toughest thing to learn. You think that you got it once you can bump and go over the ropes and, come off the top rope dive to the outside. But man, there's this whole other battle with understanding who you are and what you are and how that's going to relate to everything else in the wrestling business. That has been the toughest climb. That's been the toughest journey. And really, I'm still learning lessons, and you never stop learning lessons about that. Who you are to this and how can you get that persona across to others. It's been the toughest battle for me.
I like that though. That's actually really good. And that's something that like I know like just even like for me, like it's kind of a struggle. Like I'm still understanding like that portion of it. But my gimmick itself has gone through like 2 changes already. Cause like when I first got in, it was like, oh well, I don't know, I'll figure it out. And like that wasn't really that's never an option. So guys, don't ever do that. Just but once I realized, I was like, oh, well, I do like acting like I'm a mercenary because that's kind of where I want to be at. But then like I got to think about it. I was like, I kept trying to cut promos like very seriously. And I was like, I'm not that person. So I was like, and it didn't connect with me very well. And when I went out on my first show, it didn't connect with the audience like at all. And I was like, all right, what are we gonna do? So I had to like go back to things that I like. And that's what, and I hear it all the time, and I'm sure you'll agree. Like people say like the best characters are something about you cranked up to like 1,000. And so one thing I genuinely like to do is I like to talk shit. So I was like, essentially, I was like, I'm like Deadpool, just in a realistic world in wrestling. And so I was like, I'm running with this, and I'm just doing whatever I want. And that's when like I first time I came through a curtain, and I would just started being myself and like just talking trash to like the audience and stuff. Like it clicked. The audience loved it, and then I just went off from there. I was like, this is what I'm gonna be. Eventually, I'll evolve it and figure out more stuff. But I was like, at this time, I was like, I like where we got.
That's a great story, and it's funny because I have a similar one, just like what you said, man. Because I think that, especially if you love wrestling, you're so enamored with it, and we have all these people that we look at as icons and heroes and stuff like that, and you look at them as so much better than you. So the last thing you're thinking is that I need to go out there and be me. You're usually trying to be somebody else. Oh, I want to be tough like Steve Austin, or I want to be a kind of performer like Shawn Michaels, or I want to go out here and be I want to be the toughest guy, like John Moxley, whatever the case may be. And I feel like sometimes when you first start, you're so much trying to be like everything else, or you're trying to be like what your trainer's telling you, or you're trying to be like you forget to look inward and go, oh, what is really me? What is really me? Because what is you is true. And when something true comes through the curtain, that's how you connect, because there's a believability in that. And I think that along the way, sometimes you forget that. And I did the same thing, dude. Changed my gimmick a bunch of different times. One time I just went by a name somebody suggested because I just had nothing. And that's kind of where the Prodigy name came from. And, I struggled with that for so long. And then I started thinking, well, what am I good at? What is something that I do? What is something people say about me? Well, people say I motivate people. People say like I'm an inspiring person. I'm that good person to talk to. I can pick people up when they're down and stuff like that. I was like, okay, well, how can what is a way that I can relate that to the audience? How can I use that and do this? And then randomly I was watching a movie, and there was a Mary J. Blige song. This is so random. And the name of the song was I'm the Living Proof. And she's thinking about like all these hardships and all these things she had been through and everything like that. And at the end of the song, she was talking about how she overcame that. And then so the lyrics were like, look at me, I'm the living proof. And I was like, that's me. That's what I am, man. And so I've been the living proof ever since. And, there's been a nook and a cranny here, a change there. Got a ring jacket and a flag I come out with now and stuff like that. But the prime message has always been that. And ever since then, man, I've got that connection and I've kept it ever since. So yeah, man, I get you.
Oh man, that's awesome too. Like, so I'm just like, while you're working and like your stuff like that, like, how is it like you, when you interact with like the crowd, right? Like, what's been like one of your favorite things about like interacting with the crowd? I'll give you an example, right? So like I said, my character essentially is Deadpool meeting the wrestling world, right? And I had a guy do a basement drop kick out of the ring, right? And he kicked me and I fell into the crowd, right? But the thing is I found like it just sounded really bad. I found like the oldest person that I could, and I grabbed this woman's hands and I was like, help me. And like everybody around me was dying. And then she's like, you'll be okay. Just get up there and just punch him in the face. And like as I stood up, like I circled around, right? And as I circled around, all of a sudden this big kick comes in, bam, and I just hit the ground. I was like, it never works. And so like we went on from there. But I'm genuinely curious, like what's your experience with fan interactions like? Do you have a favorite one?
Man, that's really great, man. That's really great. I think one of my favorite ones just has to be, it was a promo. I came up with this thing called that I used to do called the Proof Pledge. And I had never done it before. It was just something I wanted to try, but I'm always trying to think, how can I get the audience to interact? Because I feel like, you just enjoy wrestling more when you feel like you're a part of it. Or at least that's how I was when I was a fan. So I'm always looking for that fan interaction. So one day I came out there and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try this. So I got the mic and I was like, okay, guys, I'm going to explain. And it was my first time there. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to give this a go. So I was like, okay, guys, I got there are two things I'm going to need you to do, and it'll perfectly explain why I call myself the living proof. So I was like, I just need everybody to help me out real quick. Everybody just make a fist and just clench it as tight as you can. And so, people were kind of like, yeah, okay, he's a wrestler, we'll do it, I guess. So they clench it and I go, now I want you to think about everything important to you. That person next to you, your goals, something you're trying to do, whatever you want in life. I want you to think about it. I want you to clench, man, thinking about everything that's important to you. I want you to put that fist up. And then so at first everybody I saw them, they put it up and I could see determined faces. And I was like, I want you to say this after me. Say, I am the living proof. And they all said it with me, man. And I was like, that's what it's about right there, man. Everybody is living proof. You go out there, you get yours, man. And I'll keep doing what I got to do in this ring. And I got a big pop, man. Everybody chanted living proof. And it was really cool, man, to get that kind of interaction from a promo. And it was in El Paso. It was my first time there. This crowd had never seen me. And I had them like that. And that's when I knew something about this gimmick, something about the living proof was really special.
Oh, that's awesome. I would definitely, I was sitting here like this. I was like, yeah, I got it too. Like I'm feeling it. So I'm curious, man, because I know also like a lot of wrestlers don't usually eat before like the show, right? They usually wait till like after the show. But I'm very curious, man, do you have like a post-match meal or like a post-match snack that you like to have?
Man, dude, man, like what don't I have? Well, yeah, I am definitely one of those guys who's all like superstitious, like, yeah, I don't eat before the match or anything like that. But and some of my friends locally would know this, but man, one of my favorite spots to go after a match is Raising Cane's. And I don't know, it's just something about those chicken fingers, man. It's just something about, I don't know, the chicken fingers, the crinkle cut fries or whatever. And, normally all through the week, my meals are super clean, man. It's, it's a lot of fish, chicken, ground beef. Most of the time I'm doing the keto thing, so not a lot of carbs. So that one time in the week I get to enjoy carbs, man, dude, I kill me some chicken fingers. And if it's not that, if it's not Raising Cane's, if it's not anything like that, then man, just a good steak, man. Give me a big 11 ounce, 12 ounce. Give me a steak, some potatoes, some broccoli. Your boy will be all right, man. But yeah, those are probably my go-tos after matches.
That I get, you know what? I could definitely kill me like a 12-ounce steak, man. That's got to be on the menu.
Heck yeah.
So aside from after like a post-match snack, usually, the one thing like a lot of young wrestlers will do, like either before or even after, right? They're gonna ask for like a lot of advice. But I'm very curious, like what advice would you give to up and coming wrestlers?
Just well, as far as just any kind of advice, man, I mean, the main thing is to stay motivated. And remember, your competition is not everybody else, how well everybody is doing, the bookings that other people get that you don't, the shows that other people are on right now that you're not on. Your biggest competition is you. That's what you got to fight against every day. When you don't feel like going to the gym, you still got to go. When you don't feel like taking that last bump, you got to do like my man here. You got to get back in there, jump up 4 feet and bump and take that bump anyway. When you don't feel like it's all there, when you feel like something is not clicking, you got to go back to the drawing board and you got to keep asking, what can I do to make this situation better? Never stop saying, what can I do? What can I do? How can I improve? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Because the moment it's about what other people are doing or somebody else, you probably already lost, man. Your biggest competition is you. Keep you in the game and you will go far.
Oh, I love that. Yes, definitely. I feel like that's all the questions I ask myself is like how or what or when or why. I ask all those questions all the time. Like it was funny. So like I was at training and somebody was giving me notes, right, about the practice match that I got punched in the face for real. And they thought it was funny because I left mid conversation, right? But I only went like 2 feet. And it's because in my bag that I travel with everywhere is my notebook. And so I get back over and I open it up and I just start writing down. And he's like, the guy stopped. He's like, I thought you were just leaving the conversation. He's like, I don't see anybody bring a notebook. I was like, do you also not see this? And I go in my bag and I have a dry sponge in my bag. And funny thing, I got it from the show because one of the guys was like, anytime you open your bag, that sponge should be the first thing to let people know that you were there to soak up knowledge. That he was like, he's like, I like that. So I did it. And so I love taking notes. I was like, bro, and I go back and review them later. And I'm thinking about, when I replay matches or stuff in my head, or if I go back and watch, I think about all the things that people tell me. And I'm like, I like jotting down. So I always tell people that too, like grab a notebook and then just figure out what you can tinker with to make it better.
And that's great, man. And that's what it's going to take, man. You keep doing that. You keep that attitude. And like we just said, your biggest competition is you. So as long as you keep learning, as long as you continue to feel like I've got something that I can learn, I've got something that I can improve. You keep asking those questions just like you're doing, man, that's it, man. And that's what we all have to do. We all can be better. We all can improve. We all can be better. I feel like your situation can always be potentially better, but it starts with you and whether or not you believe that and whether or not you seek that. So keep doing that. You go ahead.
Awesome. So you mentioned that you've been in a lot of different locker rooms, and even just by me reading off your resume, you've been in a lot of different locker rooms, and I'm sure somebody out there is going to need to know this. So I just need one do and one don't of the locker room.
One do and one don't of the locker room. Okay, here is the don't. The absolute 100% don't. Never, ever assume that any locker room owes you anything. Earn it. Earn it, earn it, earn it, earn it, earn it. Yes, you are a human being. Yes, you should be treated with respect. Yes, you should be paid for your work, et cetera, et cetera. Not talking about those basic things, but don't think that you are owed anything, man. Always be looking to help, always be looking to participate, always be looking to talk and converse and connect, always be looking to ask. Don't walk in like somebody owes you something. Walk in like you were trying to give the business something, and you'll probably be more successful. So that's the don't. Don't act like we owe you, like the business owes you something. The do, man. The do is just to take chances, man. Get out there. Even if you're not booked, man, show up. Show up, show up, show up. That's the best advice I could give. Man, I wouldn't have had the Ring of Honor matches that I had if I didn't show up that one time to that one event and got in front of some people. I wouldn't know some of the people that I know if I didn't show up. Some of these matches that I've had that you talked about with Fuego, with Billy Gunn, Matt Hardy, different things like that. Some of those things don't happen, man, if I didn't just show up. So remember, your presence is a present, and you can always take something from that event. Show the fuck up.
Bet, man. So those are all my heavy hitting questions, but we do got to get into the second best segment of the 3 Count Podcast, because the first best segment is the Red Dogs Power Rankings. Let's be real. You can catch those every Sunday on the 3 Count Podcast debate show. We talk about it all the time on here, but we're going to get into the second best segment. That is the 3 Count Podcast 10 count questions. And Jastin, this is how it works. I'm going to fire off 10 questions at you. Whatever's the first thought in your mind, that's your answer.
Okay, let's go.
All right. So we're going to put on an imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing! And here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
SmackDown, baby.
Favorite color?
Red, man. Passion.
Batman or Superman?
Oh, man, that's tough. Batman, man. We got to go with the Dark Knight, man. We got to go with the man from Gotham City.
Favorite movie?
$1 Million Baby. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. Clint Eastwood, Morgan Freeman. Man, it's a good one.
Goku or Vegeta?
Oh, man. That's tough too, but I gotta go with Goku, man. I like that he's fun loving, I like that he laughs, and I like that he whoops a lot of ass.
He really does. He really does. All right. Living Proof or The Prodigy?
Man, it's gotta be The Proof all the way, man. The Prodigy, man, he was just a little boy, man, in a man's world. He didn't know what he was doing, man. He was kind of struggling around to find himself. But the Living Proof, man, is what the man is supposed to be. I've grown up, I'm showing out, and trust me, when you see me in that ring, you will know one thing and one thing only, that your boy really is the Living Proof.
PlayStation or Xbox?
Oh, PlayStation all day, man. Man, Xbox, y'all can go on with them first-person shooters, man. Give me some Ratchet and Clank, give me some Crash Bandicoot, and your boy is all right.
Yo, I was like, hey, man, you can't get God of War on Xbox. Let's just be real.
Yeah, man, you can't get Kratos on the Xbox, man. So I'm sorry, Xbox.
All right, man. Favorite podcast?
Man, my favorite podcast, I'm going to plug myself a little bit, is my own podcast, man. The Cinema Slayers podcast, man. We break down what we like and dislike about movies. We have movie discussions, man. So you ought to check that out. Cinema Slayers podcast. I got some people out of Chicago that I do it with. Check us out, man. It's Cinema Slayers.
Bet. All right. Nominate one person that you want to see on this podcast.
Nominate one person. Man, if you haven't talked to him, you got to talk to him, man. He's the West Texas strong style practitioner, formerly of the WWE, Stallion Rogers. You need to get him on here, man. Man, the dude is making waves all over Texas, all over the country. And I actually trained your boy. I trained him a little bit, before he went out there and grew his wings and made it to the WWE and everything like that. But now he's back on the indies, man, and he's a good dude. You need to interview Stallion Rogers.
Bet. And then last but not least, my favorite question asked every single person who comes on this show, favorite curse word.
Man, favorite curse word. Man, it's got to be ass, man, because I kick a lot of it. But when it comes to the ladies, I don't mind looking at them either.
Bet. Well, that is it for the 10 count questions. So the last thing I need from you is, Jastin, just let people know where they can find you.
Man, well, if you Google Jastin Taylor right now, man, a plethora of stuff will come up. You'll see my Ring of Honor matches. You'll probably see a ton of matches I've had with people all over the indies, from Flago to Matt Hardy to Chavo, Guerrero. I mean, I'm all over the place, man. So you could do that. That might be the easiest way. Specifically, though, Facebook, Jastin Taylor. Look for the picture of the guy with 3 belts, the belt collector. You can't miss him. Taylor Jastin on Instagram and Twitter. So please give me a follow. Check me out. Buy the Super Mario tribute shirt. It's brand new on Pro Wrestling Tees. You got to pick that one up because it celebrates my 2 favorite things, gaming and wrestling. So yeah, man, check out the Living Proof. And if you get the chance to come see me wrestle, trust me, you will want to see that.
And there you have it. You have all this stuff. You can find him on Pro Wrestling Tees. He gave you his AIG. He gave you his Twitter. He gave you his Facebook page, bro. I don't know what you're doing. But anyway, that is it. This is it for the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. And as I said, I am your Sherpa, the man who leads you up this mountain called wrestling. But it's never about me. It's always about who's entering the ring. And today, who is entering the ring? That's right, Jastin Taylor, the living proof himself, was here. And you guys know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there, or you just wait till this episode ends, the outro plays, and I guarantee you another one of our episodes are going to play, and you can listen to that too. Peace. What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want you to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3count_pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3 Count Pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give us a subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm/the 3 Count Podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3 Count Podcast also has merchandise. At prowrestlingtees.com/the 3 Count Pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So show us some support, please.